It's your weekly breakaway for fun conversations on pro cycling. Come join us for another ride beyond the slipstream. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we'll do deep-ish dives on professional bike races, teams, riders, and all sorts of cycling-related stories. So jump in the saddle and tighten up those shoes. The road awaits. Away!
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Slipstream. I'm Matt and this is my brother Justin, and today on the show the Giro d'Italia is in full swing. Having made it back to the real world after 3 crazy days in Bulgaria, the men were back on Italian soil and the racing was pretty great, with storylines developing left, right, and center. Felix Gall, the other superstar climber from decathlon, has, dare I say, finally gotten off to a successful start at a Grand Tour as his team's GC leader and is looking on better form than he ever has. Meanwhile, UAE Team Emirates looked for once to be on the back foot in a major way after the Bulgarian stages laid waste to their roster. But even though they began the Italian part of the Giro 3 riders down, the almighty juggernaut squad has found creative ways to make lemonade out of lemons. Meanwhile, there's all kinds of drama in the Red Bull camp as a battle for leadership has unfolded and seems to be on the brink of falling in a direction we were not expecting. Meanwhile, low-rent Adam Sandler, aka Afonso Eulalio, has come off the biggest week of his career, and there looks to be still more success ahead for the B-tier Bahrain rider. And finally, meanwhile, there's been lots of other exciting racing around the pro pelotons, which has given your fantasy team a leg up and mine a whole heap and helping of frustration, arg. So we'll dive into all of that on the show today, as well as doing an Orla fit check, copyright pending, a news roundup, a fantasy league update, and a grueling ride to the blockhouse in the Broom Wagon. Allez! Hello and welcome to the show. It's Matt here with Justin after a fantastic week of racing, I felt, if for no other reason than just for stage 5 of the Giro d'Italia 2026 edition. Holy crap. I told many captured a person at my bar this week about stage 5 because, wow, that was so good. Yeah, I mean, you know, there were parts of it that sort of were annoying, but still, overall, some great racing and some really terrific storylines as referenced in the opening. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I constantly say that the Giro is my favorite of the Grand Tours, and I don't know. It just doesn't disappoint. You know, obviously you have the largesse of the Tour de France typically looms over the Tour de France, that it's the biggest one that everybody knows. But this one, I don't know, man. There's just something about this race that captures my imagination. It just gives you a little bit of everything all at once, and never what you exactly expect. It just gives it twists and turns and doesn't. Yeah, it's kind of true both on the racing end and the vibes end with this race. You know what I mean? I mean, Tour de France is so just like quintessentially French, and you know, the entire country is out by the side of the road, and like the Giro just feels like exactly the same thing, but in Italy. Whereas the Vuelta seems like not quite as big of a priority. So the racing is always really interesting just because it's a little earlier in the season. Bad weather could come into it. They still have a bunch of absolutely iconic, you know, historical climbs. And yeah, it's kind of just as good as the Tour de France in a lot of ways. Yeah, like I said, it's definitely my favorite. And again, like this week, you know, the first week you had all the crazy stuff that happened in Bulgaria, and then it just kind of continues on through. But we're getting a little mix of everything. We've got GC stuff. We've got, just pure sprint stuff. We've got, stage stuff. We've got weather producing, pink jersey holders that we would never expect and maybe never even heard of. And, it gives you so much to kind of focus on, almost maybe in a way too much to focus on, because there's so many different things going on. But very, very enjoyable week of racing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And in our pre-show meeting today, we decided to make the GC battle our A story, and then the craziness with UAE as our B story. But now that I'm looking at it, the week opened up with the UAE story in a big way. So let's just go ahead and flip that. Let's make an on-the-spot decision, because I want to get into stages 4 and 5, and that's where that's the big story.
Well, we talked last week about the fact that UAE was decimated. They lost essentially their probably 3 strongest riders last week. And we were wondering, we were speculating, what does this mean for them for the rest of the tour? And, well, we just figured out is that they're going to go out and grab some stage wins, and they're going to work really well together as a team. And it just goes to show that their B guys would be A guys on a lot of teams.
Yeah, we said it all year last year. Not that I would necessarily even count Jonathan Narvaez as a B guy on that squad. He is definitely an A guy, but he's a guy that'll he'll get sent to a race as a leader or as like one of the main dudes with a bunch of their B guys. He is often featuring in those environments for that team. And it's really just a testament to the fact that while we gripe about the fact that this team has got all the money and can buy their way to, some of the best riders, certainly the best rider in the world right now. And also many, many very, very top end riders. They're still, when it comes to basics, to race basics, they are still all over it. I mean, you need look no further than the first stage of the week on stage 4, where this team put in some absolute perfect team tactics. They got 2 guys going into the final in a reduced group. They knew they had the fastest man in Jonathan Narvaez. Jan Christian is a late stage solo breakaway specialist. This guy loves nothing more than grabbing a little, 5% climb 4 kilometers out from the finish of a race and, throwing in an attack and seeing if he can stay away to the finish. And so that's what he did. And that he just forced Movistar and Trek to have to chase, which just perfectly set up Narvaez. And when you see the margin that Narvaez won by, I mean, he had an armchair ride to the finish and dusted everybody. So it's just like
he was completely fresh because he didn't have to do any of the work.
Yeah.
They were forced to chase, and where we have seen the two on ones, 2 on 2, 2 on 2s type situations, they played it perfectly. Where we've seen a lot of teams falter in this exact same situation, all year long. You know what I mean? Mm. And they played it very, very well, and they came away with a stage victory that was. It was textbook. It was so good. It was textbook.
Yeah, and Narvaez talked about like the mood in the team this week. I think later in the week when he was being interviewed after a race, spoiler alert, he was just talking about how good the vibes are in the team right now. And it's just like top to bottom, this team has just got it covered. They have superstars. They have a deep roster. They have team cohesion. They have fantastic tactics. They have great coaching. About the only thing this team is lacking is an inspiring team kit. Because they've got everything else covered.
Everything couldn't be more boring.
It actually looks better this year. I've noticed like there's something going on the back of the jersey with like an angled like black line, and then the socks are cool too. If you look at the socks, it's like they're like half black, half white, but on a diagonal. They're pretty cool. But it's still a pretty boring kit.
But you take all you know you take all the pressure off from the week before, because now the expectations are now extremely low. Like everybody just assumes like, oh, okay, well they're just completely out of it.
Right.
And
This race is a loss for them, and they're like, no.
no, and yeah, exactly. They're like, no, it's not a loss, and we're gonna take 3 stages, and we're not gonna look back. And
Yeah. And they've also realized they've been realistic. They know that they do not have a viable GC contender. Jan Christian was the closest. We talked about it last week. But even though he was effective and certainly basically set them up for a stage win on stage 4, like this guy is he's not gonna win the white jersey, and he probably won't even top 10 the GC, would be my guess.
not against the field that's out there. I mean, I just
Right.
it's
And so
we've only seen
my
one
point
day
is,
of really hard climbing. You know what I mean? We've
Yeah.
seen some mountains, but we've only
Yeah.
had one day of hard climbing. And the back end of this race has some extreme days where I don't see him being able to maintain with the guys that he's going to contend with.
right. Well, my point on all that was like that one of the other astute things that this team is able to do is look at this situation and be like, we are not putting one molecule of effort towards any kind of GC aspiration. We are henceforth trying to win as many stages as we can. They might win 6. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. One story that kind of came from this stage that basically is buried by all of these other stories that we're going to be getting into is Giulio Ciccone pulling on the Maglia Rosa at the end of this stage for the first time in his career. A huge, huge moment. I was absolutely loving it.
10 years after his Giro win.
Is it that long?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he got third on this stage, which was like a sprint finish, reduced bunch, but still a sprint finish. And that was the thing that gave him the bony seconds to get into the Maglia Rosa. So good on him for, come hell or high water. He was podiuming this stage. So that was cool. And you got to feel for the guy the next day, because like it all went to hell. I mean, a lot of it was the weather, but like it was just the race situation just did not permit for any possibility of him keeping the jersey the next day, the poor guy. And then on top of that, he had to put on a raincoat on top of the thing for basically the entire day. So it was one day in pink. He got a podium. He got to wear it on the podium when on the day that he got it. He got to start the day with it at the team, presentation. He started the race with it, and 20 minutes later, he was never seen in the pink jersey again. Poor guy.
I mean, that was one of the worst rain days that I can remember, since I started watching cycling, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was torrential, to say the least. Like, I felt so bad for every single rider that day. It was awful.
That was quite brutal. The only other thing I wanted to mention from that stage is how Jonathan Narvaez basically glistens. That's like one of the shiniest looking people I've ever seen in my life. But he gives a good interview. All right, let's bounce to stage 5, where the UAE story continues. What an unbelievable finish to a race! It was so good.
This is the wildest stage that I can remember, dude. Like this
I can't get over it.
So the first part of the day, it's the rain. It's a mess. Nothing is like, you don't see, nothing gets going, and then you think that it's just going to be this ho hum boring stage. Probably ends in a messy bunch sprint. And what you end up getting is this back and forth of unbelievableness between Igor Arrieta and Alalio.
Right. And it's like,
Alalio.
and it was sort of like equal parts, like physical racing and equal parts luck. Like
complete
fate.
sheer bad
Just
luck
like
and
fate.
good luck.
Yeah, it was just absolutely wild, and like it also gave us a perfect finish where you could just be happy all around with that finish. You know what I
Oh
mean? That was
yeah.
the scenario that we needed for that. Because they each got a prize, but we should set it up by saying like Igor Arietta of UAE like got clear of a 13-man break with like 50 kilometers to go,
60.
and
Yeah.
the only person that could bridge up to him and hang was Eulalio, right?
Correct.
So
And he picks him up about 10K later. So now they are out front solo, or in tandem, with 50K to go. And mind you, the weird thing that's going on in this stage is the weather is so bad that the break that was hard to form in the beginning just starts getting massive amounts of time added. It just keeps going. The amount of difference between the peloton and the front of the race just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger throughout the stage, to where eventually they have like an over 6 minute advantage on the peloton at one point. And so it's 50K out, you got Eulalio catching Arietta, and they pretty much stay together for the rest of the race and give us the last like 15K of that race is like some of the craziest, best racing that you will see, all year long, in my opinion.
yeah, and before we get to it, let's just mention, we just talked about how poor Giulio Ciccone just never stood a chance, because basically like there was some climbs in the middle of this race, and he basically didn't have he had one teammate as part of the chasing group after these guys got clear, but then lost that teammate, and he basically had no choice but to push on the front by himself, knowing it was not going to do him any good. But he's an Italian, and he's got to show that pink jersey, which nobody could even see. It's respect. And so he sat there on the front of that group of like 10 riders. They all just sucked his wheel all day. I felt for the dude. But anyways, you're right. 15 Ks to go.
I mean, it needs to be said that they have a team that is half built for sprinting. So they don't have a lot of, climbers to drag him along and protect him and, keep him in contention. I mean, it's just, their team is just not built that way for this race.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got Igor Arietta and we've got Afonso Eulalio out in front, and we're waiting for these two guys to just ride on into the finish and sprint it out amongst them. But it's 13.6 kilometers to go on a gentle left-hand bend. Arietta just kind of washes out, slides off to the side. You can tell right away that he's not hurt, as the camera bike is looking at him. He just slid out. That's the one thing about these rainy days. It's like it's much easier to fall, but like the road rash you're going to get is so much less. You know what I mean? It's there. These crashes seem to be a little bit more low key. So now you think Eulalio is just going to run away with it. Right, he's got it. He's down by 30 seconds.
Got the advantage. So you figure, okay, Eulalio is just all he's gonna do is coast his way into the finish.
Right, which he does for the next like 6.5 kilometers, and then on another gently turning left-hand bend, same exact thing. Eulalio washes out and
needs
suddenly,
a bike change. And he needs a bike change.
Right. I mean, he's got a car right behind him, so he gets the bike change very quickly, but same amount of time lost, and you blink your eyes and they're back together again. You're like, holy crap, race on again. This is fantastic. Go, right? All right. I'm back in it. So now we're rolling in, and we get to 2.2 kilometers to go. They're following right behind a motorcycle. And at that moment, Eulalio was ahead, and
he just overbaked that corner.
Yeah, Arietta is right on his wheel, and he's not paying attention to the road in front of him. And it's like, because of the wetness, he was kind of in the wrong position coming around that bend, and realized, oh crap, I am not going to make this turn, and I'm not
Yes.
going to risk trying to squeeze in on these wet roads. So he just goes straight, and immediately realizes he's gone the wrong way, because there's like a ribbon tied across the road, is sort of say like,
Yes.
don't come this way to the riders, which gets caught up in him. But he immediately turns himself around, gets back on the right road. The ribbon is still like attached to him for a second there before it snaps off. And now we're talking about 2 kilometers left to go. And we're like, nah, no way he gets back on here.
It's going to be a
There's no
really
chance.
hard catch.
But
But it is wet. But it is wet.
it's wet, and we got a kind of slightly uphill drag to the finish.
And he has a moment right after that where he must have like been, I think he was like standing and putting all the power down, and he gets a wicked backslide on the back wheel.
Yeah, his wheel kicks out
and
for a
it's like,
second.
you're like, whoo, okay.
And you see him like put his head down, like, God damn it. Like he is he is mad. He is like, I have not come this far to have my tire slide out again. Like, can you just fate? Can you just work with me here for a second? I'm trying my best down here, damn it. And with 1 kilometer to go, they go under the red kite. He's 10 seconds down. I counted it off. He is 10 seconds behind Eulalio at the kite. And somehow, amazingly,
Catches him at 100 meters.
yep, 100 meters, sits on
100
his wheel
meters.
for about a tenth of a second, and then boom, blast past him, and kind of wins kind of easily. Like,
Well,
I think
you have to figure that he's got all of the adrenaline. He's got the little mishap there. He's pushing really hard, and it's not a huge distance to push. I mean, it's been a long day, I'm sure, in the saddle, but like he comes into that last 100 meters with all the momentum in the world, and he's able to just completely overtake Eulalio, for the stage victory. But
right, and also working in his favor, I think, is the fact that Eulalio has had multiple double-digit kilometers to sit there and run all of the scenarios through his head, and what a win means, what a second place wins means. He knows that he is 6 minutes ahead of the GC guys, so he knows that when he gets this jersey, this leader's jersey, he's going to hold it for a while. And so in the end, even though a stage win is great and every guy loves a stage win, the quality of the consolation prize is so high here that subconsciously he could just be like, I'm not going to try to sprint this guy. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm done. I am done. Mission has already been accomplished here. So, but as I said, it's the best case scenario for us as fans, because one guy gets a stage win and one guy gets a pink jersey that he's about to hang on to for many, many days.
yes,
As we'll see.
it was an amazing stage that came out of nowhere, because if you'd have seen the weather at the beginning of the stage, you'd have been like, there's no way that there's going to be this much animation, especially at the end of the race that way. It was amazing.
So great, especially on a rainy day like that. Well, Arrieta is the son of a Grand Tour stage winner, and he is now a Grand Tour stage winner. He gave a very heartfelt, emotional interview afterwards, and then on comes Afonso Eulalio for his interview, and I'm like, is that Adam Sandler? It's like it's almost like, did you see the opening of this week's finale for Saturday Night Live?
Yes. We watched the whole episode. It's very good.
It's almost like the fake out we got there when Chad Smith walked on. So great.
I knew it immediately. I made my kid watch it to see if he'd pick up on it, and Connor was looking at him, and it was like, is that Will Ferrell? Wait, what?
I had it figured out by the time he got to the front of the stage, because they
As soon
stayed
as
in
I
the
saw
wide
his
shot.
face, the wide shot I couldn't tell, but as soon as
They stayed they stayed in that wide shot when he got to the front of the stage before going into the closer shot. But as he's walking down there, I'm like, oh, wait a second. But that's hilarious. They did that. I do think they missed a massive opportunity at the end of the show when Paul did you say for the Paul performance after the goodbyes?
a third musical segment.
Right. And it's just like I cannot remember what the name of that song is, but it's like one of his classic rockers. Why was there not a cowbell sitting there next to Chad Smith's drum stand for Will Ferrell to pick up and play cowbell with Paul McCartney? Oh, that would have been the greatest thing ever.
I
I
just
feel
love
like
the fact that they had Chad Smith playing the drums for him the whole night.
oh yeah. All right, let's get back on track. Eulalio, this guy looks just like Adam Sandler, and I love him. He's like my new favorite guy. He's just like happy-go-lucky and thrilled to be in the position that he's got with 6 minutes on the GC favorites. UAE gets back-to-back wins just when you thought their Giro was completely destroyed. They're like, "No, we're doing just about as good as any team so far."
Yeah, and they're not done yet. So stage 6 is completely boring, all right, until the very end when this little section of the race that everybody knew was coming, it was a hard corner on some like not Roubaix type cobbles, but like
it was basically like a large hairpin. It wasn't a tight
yes.
hairpin, but it was a hairpin. They went all the way back 180 degrees on
Right.
themselves.
And it is these like smooth cobbles that, you know, once the water touched them, basically became a non-stick pan.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that the potential for disaster was in this turn. And it didn't disappoint because as soon as the front of the race gets there, all right, you know, the lead riders end up going down. And
Right, it's Dylan Groenewegen in his lead out, man. They're in perfect position in second, like first and second. Groenewegen is like right there. I mean, it is just like could not be more perfect. And it's as if God snapped his finger when they come around that thing because both of them are just like blip. Like it wasn't like one went and the other one tried to avoid it. It was just like they're both like dink.
All right, now coming out of this, your what do they call them? The what's the points jersey called? The Maglia Ciccamino.
The Maglia Ciccamino. Cicclamino.
Cicclamino. So Paul Magnier, he gets caught up in it, doesn't go down. Okay, and then in two things simultaneously happen.
But he has his foot out, so he's like behind some dudes. Like he comes to a full stop.
He has to literally take his bike over Dylan Groenewegen. Like he literally rolls his bike right over Dylan Groenewegen. So, but two things are simultaneously happening during this. So, coming into the turn, Davide Ballerini, okay, has this amazing move to stay upright. He's on the inside line of this turn, okay? And he is able to balance himself, stay upright through this, which positions him puts him in a winning position essentially, and he is going to go on and win that stage. But
he's got the wily Jasper Stuyven on his wheel, who did have to pull a foot out of the pedal just to keep it upright to maintain his balance. So he had a slight leg up on Stuyven at that moment because he was able to negotiate that thing without pulling his foot out. Correct. Which, you know, he's a veteran, man.
And he showed it. Now, here's where the really crazy. So you got these two guys, and they're headed for what is seemingly going to be their sprint for the win. There's another couple of guys, but it's more or less those two. They've got the distance.
Well, there's like 8 guys. There's not like another couple. There's like 8 guys between Paul Magnier and the finish line.
So Paul Magnier pulls his bike over Dylan Groenewegen and starts to go again. All right, and somehow in, you know, whatever, 900 meters, 800 meters, I don't even know how much it was, from a dead stop.
On wet cobbles.
On a dead stop on wet cobbles, Paul Magnier gets himself into third on this stage. It was one of the most amazing comebacks I've ever seen. Unbelievable. I mean, like, look, I don't care what anybody says. This guy is the truth. Okay, this guy is the real deal.
Yeah, he's in the top 3 conversation for sure. Did you hear what he said in his post race interview on the stage?
I don't know. Maybe
He
I
was
did.
like,
I don't know.
he was like, I just really wanted to. He was like, I know a lot of my fans out there have me on their fantasy team, and I just really wanted to get points for them. Just even if it was just the third place on a Grand Tour stage. I just, no, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. But boy, he went all out to get you just a couple more points in the for your fantasy.
Another little deucer.
Yep. So.
So by the way, we've already been talking for over 30 minutes now, and we still haven't even gotten to Blockhouse. Right?
I
Like
know.
that's how good this race is.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Milan was super salty in his post-race interview. I'm sure you heard that.
Yeah.
There's another finish that they've used multiple times in the past, which he is among many people I've heard in the past week talking about
This
why
Napoli
couldn't.
stage was controversial.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's if for one way or another, this stage is always controversial. Eulalio still in pink, still has 6 minutes. Let's move on to the blockhouse.
Did not disappoint. So this really will take us into the B story now. Okay.
Yeah.
So unbelievable. So obviously this day ends with this insane climb. You know, the whole race comes down essentially, for me at least, to the last, what is it, like 11 kilometers or something like that. And you know, the only thing that of note to me that happens before you get to Blockhouse, Milan took the intermediate sprint, grabbed 12 bonus points, trying to keep himself in the race there, you know, as far as that's concerned. Because poor Milan, I will say, has not had a lot of luck. He got a third place or a second place, and that was it.
Nope.
That's been his whole Giro so far. So to me, like I said, it starts 11, 12K out. Visma is in full control of the peloton. Red Bull sharing the duties, and you know, let's talk about Red Bull. All right, what, like, are people not going to learn this dual shit doesn't work? Because they need to, like, they would be in a much better position right now, today, okay, a week and a half or whatever you want to call into this race, if these teams would stop this GC by committee shit. All right, it didn't work last year in the Giro. It's not working this year for them, and they could be better placed than they are right now.
I'm on record as basically being in agreement with you that, like, going with a multiple year strategy often comes to naught for these teams. However, I would take issue with you that in this particular race, it has not served them well, because I think Jai Hindley has kind of, from the start of this race, been like, you guys can call me a co-leader all you want, but
This is his race.
I know
he won this race.
I
4
know
years
that I'm
ago.
the lead. Yes, he won this race 4 years ago, and he podiumed this race, I believe, last year. So he's like, I know that I'm the leader. So you all can play this game, but I'm racing to win this race. End of story. And he's now sits in fourth, and Afonso Eulalio is going to disappear. So he's basically on the podium right
Correct.
now. And the only person he has to get past is the very iffy Felix Gall. Prior statement from the intro notwithstanding. You know what I'm saying?
Felix Gall is very good, but again, once we get into the really high mountains, and I just, those types of climb, Blockhouse suited him very well. All right.
Yeah, I'm just reacting to your comment about that in particular. Yes, agreed. It's not always a good strategy. I think, in a way, though, if you look at this, maybe it was the best strategy for them, because they knew that they would have a very clear leader by the end of week one, perhaps.
No,
I mean, I don't know.
To me, it's Hindley. I mean, if I'm them, I'm putting all my chips in on Hindley, because Pellizzari just doesn't look great. Like, he just doesn't look great. He's already really hard spots.
Yeah, and he's a full minute behind Hindley at this point. So, agreed. But nonetheless, great stage. First of all, you got to shout out Piganzoli from Visma. like what a turn that young feller put in before giving it up to Sepp to set Jonas up. Basically, Visma destroyed everybody on that climb. Arrieta was like the first to drop, and then guys are just like going out the back, and it comes down to basically Jonas, Pellizzari, Hindley, Felix Gall, I think Storer's in there, and Eulalio.
Moss and Bernal were in there for a minute, but they got dropped.
Of those guys, Eulalio is the first to drop, and then 5.3 Ks to go. Jonas drops the hammer. It's go time. And this is where we get
the surprise for me was that it was Felix
surprise.
Gall is the one that's able to follow.
Well, it's like it was Pellizzari hangs on at first, and we're like, yep, all right, here we go. It's just like last week, like he was looking so good, or 2 weeks ago in whatever the race was that he won 2 weeks ago. He was just always right there doing what he needed to do, playing the role of the leader, just like crushing it. And so far in this race, he's kind of been right there with Jonas the whole time. But at the first moment where the big question was asked of him, at first it's like, oh yeah, he's got it. Same guy we've been watching. And then suddenly it's like, oh no, not the same guy. Not at all. Not against Jonas Vingegaard. And then out of nowhere, Felix Gall is next to Pellizzari.
Yeah.
And
you're like,
moving.
well, no, and
he's looking fresh.
He's about to catch Pellizzari. All right. Yeah. And then he drops Pellizzari.
Yeah. 4 kilometers to go. He's like, boom. And like it becomes very apparent that Felix Gall is about to get second on Blockhouse behind Jonas Vingegaard. But the other crazy part is that he gets pretty close to Jonas and doesn't relinquish that differential all the way to the finish line. He's only 14 seconds behind.
Also,
I'm like Felix Gall came in 14 seconds behind Jonas Vingegaard on Blockhouse. Is this happening?
But again, this is a climb that suits his type of climbing.
Absolutely.
Unbelievably beautiful climb too, by the way. Like the trees,
stunning.
When you get to the top and it opens up and you can see the mountains, like, oh man.
Yeah. I did hear one person like trashing that on some show or another. They were like talking about how lame it is compared to the whatever the one is in the Tour de France that's kind of like it, but I hard disagree on my part. Let me just say real quickly, Jonas became the 114th rider in history to complete the Grand Tour stage win treble. What was
he also
up
set
with
the record for the Blockhouse?
Set the Blockhouse record. So he's in a rare group of 114 with this win. However, if he wins the overall GC, the pink jersey for 2026, he will become only the 8th person in history to win all 3 Grand Tours alongside Jacques Anquetil. What's his name? Ramondo Gimondi? No, what's Gimondi's name? Eddie Merckx, Bernard Hinault, Alberto Contador, Vincenzo Nibali, and Chris Froome.
That's some crazy company.
Let's put a pin in it there. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we've got a couple more Giro stages to talk about before we get into some of the other racing. Stay with us.
Please check out our other show, Inglorious Brothers, a pop culture show with cult classic swagger. Search and subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or click the link in the show notes.
All right, welcome back to Beyond the Slipstream. We left off at the start of the weekend, this past weekend, at the 2026 Giro d'Italia, having just seen Jonas Vingegaard take his first ever Giro win and complete the trio. It was on to a couple of repeat performances, I'd say, for Saturday and Sunday, starting with Jonathan Narvaez making it 2 out of 2.
So I have a very funny note on this stage. It says, early break with Ghana and Sevilla. Break finally got away, then changed hands 23 times.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not watch much of this stage.
It was more or less that. Ghana and Sevilla went out early to try to grab some of the mountain points, and that was really it, man. And it came down to Narvaez and the two Norwegian riders, Leknesund and Tejada, or Tojada, however you say that.
Wait, I thought he was in there with Mikkel Bjerg.
No, Tejada got third on that stage. Double check me, but I'm pretty sure.
No. But Mikkel Bjerg, his teammate, was in that breakaway with Leknesund and him at the end.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah. Yes, there was two riders. Yes,
and once again,
the 2-on-1 worked.
UAE hits them with a 201. Perfect tactics. It's just like if they have an opportunity, they're going to seize it. They're going to execute it the right way, and they're going to get it done. Like 9 times out of 10 with this team. They knew that all Narvaez just needed to get ahead. Just needed 15 seconds on Leknesund when they started the flat part at the very end of the race. As long as he could do that, he knew he'd win. Yeah. What can you say?
It was the first time 2 Norwegian riders finished on the podium of the Giro ever.
It was also the stage win that tied Jonathan Narvaez with Richard Carapaz for most Giro stage wins by an Ecuadorian, 4 each. And speaking of Central Americans and South Americans, Egan Bernal was looking a lot better that day, and Eulalio stayed in pink, which set us up for the big climby day on Sunday. Though this was like a series of smaller climbs. This wasn't like a blockhouse situation.
No, and it's not like what we're going to see towards the end of the race either.
I watched the whole thing, but I was not actively taking notes because I had a bunch of other stuff going on at the time. So why don't you recap the stage for us?
I mean, really the only things of note, Ciccone ended up taking the Red Bull sprint, grabbing some of those, what I guess you get bonus seconds for that, right?
Not to mention the $2,000.
Oh yeah, which was good for their team. Gall attacked first. So essentially, it busts down to Gall and the front leaders, and Gall went first. Gall did the attacking, and Jonas just stuck with him all the way up to about 900 meters.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he just turned on the out. And it's funny because I was thinking to myself, like, Jonas needs to attack like Pog would in this situation, which is wait for the very hardest part and then just bury it, and then ride off into the sunset, which is essentially what he did. I was surprised that he left it as late as he did. I think that if he'd have pulled it a little bit sooner, he would have gotten more time on Gall, like at the finish. But
well, some of the headlines are like, does Jonas actually have it or doesn't he? Why isn't he winning bigger? But I'm kind of like, here, I'm going to tell you exactly why he's not winning bigger. All right, you ready?
He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to, and he's gone to the Tour de France, and he already has in his mind, like, I'm not going to the Tour de France for second. Like, I am on amazing form. I'm going to there's nobody here that can touch me. So I'm going to make sure I win this thing. I mean, there's no question about that, but I'm not going, I'm going to expend exactly as much energy as I need to, like you said. And what a feeling that must be when you're like clearly the best rider in the thing, and it just gives you so much more like bargaining power. Like you can just sit on the wheel of a Felix Gall and make him work, Well,
and how much throughout the week did we hear about, like, oh, Jonas wants to give up the King of the Mountains jersey, and he wants to be in his super skin suit for the time trial. And
Right.
yeah,
Well, that was the better story from this stage, to be perfectly honest with you, is that whole line of questioning about is he going to do it? Well, how can he not? How can he make sure that he doesn't have the blue jersey? And a two-part situation would have need to have arisen for him to get out of the blue jersey. But everyone was agreed that it was but if it comes down to getting a stage win or not getting a stage win, I'll grab the stage win
all day long,
of course.
And he'll wear the blue skin suit, and he may still win. He's an amazing time trialist. He may, but it's
when you're talking about the narrowness of the margins.
Ghana. Yeah, he's probably not going to beat Ghana anyway. So
right.
He just needs to beat the people around him and call it a day.
All right, same situation as when he's going up these climbs against Felix Gall. He just needs to beat Felix Gall. He's going to beat every time for the rest of this race that him and Felix Gall are going up a mountain together at the end of a stage. He's going to get to decide how many seconds he wants to take off of him. You know what I mean?
And who knows, once we get into the third week of this race and it gets really, really hard. I mean, he's going to put all these guys to shame. I mean,
he's already cut Eulalio's lead in half in 2 days, and he is so not worried about this thing.
No, not at all. Because again, when it's the hardest is what suits him the most. So when we haven't seen it at its hardest yet, we saw something very similar, but those really, really hard, long climbs are not going to suit Gall. You know what I mean? Where you're the 30 minutes going up a wall, like we're going to have towards the end of this race. So, and there's 3 days where it's going to be completely brutal.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got the very long TT coming up tomorrow. Here's how I'm going to watch this race. I'm going to fast forward to when Jonas Vingegaard starts, and then I'm going to watch his entire TT, all, 44 kilometers or something? It's something super long.
Ridiculous.
And in watching his entire TT, I'm going to get to see most of the next 15 people in line. You know what I mean?
I will probably watch Ghana, and then once Ghana goes through, jump to Jonas is my guess. I mean,
I'll
probably
Ghana
have it on. I'll probably have it on in the background. So I'll probably watch more than I'm letting on, but if I watch it in replay, it will be that way.
All right, well, let's do a hard pivot to the Tour of Hungary, where we saw a surprise, not a surprise lead change, but we saw that the taking of the overall yellow jersey on stage 4 by Jakob Soderqvist of Lidl Trek.
Which, I don't think a lot of people were expecting. The early part, you have Merlier, and then UAE picks up another win with Cosnefroy.
Right.
And, then Merlier again on Friday, and then Soderqvist ends up taking the lead and the stage on stage 4 kind of unexpectedly. And almost chokes it up. Did you see what happened to him on the final stage when he was in the yellow?
Yeah, I know he crashed. Yeah. Oh yeah, he crashed in the crosswind.
He dips off the road, and the bike came out from under him, and he literally hits the deck and has to chase to keep back on.
Amazing, he didn't take out the guy behind him. I don't know how the guy behind him didn't go. He was fourth in line of a group of 5.
4 or 5 of them, and they were so close together.
Yeah. It might have been a little foreshortening on that front angle, because that's the really good angle that you get when you see it happen. But Tim Merlier walks away with 3 wins, none of which do anything for me in terms of fantasy points.
Yes, but they bode well for you for the Tour de France.
They certainly do. That guy,
he looks like he can beat anybody.
It's just let me find it. One of the wins, I said, right. This man, all he needs is the last 50 meters of a sprint, and you need to put him anywhere in the top 15 and he'll win. Like,
Yeah,
this
the only
dude-
time he doesn't win is when he gets boxed out. That's it.
Right.
It's the only way you can beat him.
which is very rarely.
Which is if he's not like out front to where he can open up full. But if he opens up full, I don't know that anybody can
the
stop
turn
him,
of speed
dude.
is ridiculous.
I mean,
it's just absolutely
It
ridiculous.
happens so fast. He's
And
fast.
And it's like we never get to see it go longer than about like 80 meters because that's all he needs, you know? Like,
Yes.
it's wild.
Yeah,
It's wild.
He is pretty ridiculous.
Did you see Kel O'Brien of Jayco slide out in the rain on the fourth stage and just like disappear under the guardrail?
No, I guess I didn't.
It was wild. Absolutely wild. Tour Hungary. How about Itzulia Women, which was going on this week? Is that a points race for you?
It is a points race.
So, like, see, here we go. Everything is
a
completely
world tour race. Yes.
Everything is turned upside down. I have 0 riders in the Giro. You have 3 that could be banging away at points.
Hold on, and well, we'll get to it, but João Almeida is like apparently back because
Joao's back.
He's going to the whatever they're calling the Criterium de Dauphiné now.
Right. Joao to the Dauphiné. Okay. Yeah. So your girl Misha Bredewald in there taking stages and jerseys. Jerseys.
Jerseys. Yeah. This
Out there
goes
going
into
for
it.
those bony points to make sure she wins both the lead and the points.
I mean,
Very
it
impressive.
was essentially the Vladicek in Bredewald show.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Tim Merlier's turn of speed, there are few things more fearsome in the women's pro peloton than Misha Bredewald out of the saddle with that look in her eyes, like drilling ahead for the finish line. Like, she is quick too. She closed a massive gap on stage three to come to slide into second place, I think. I mean, she's fantastic.
So you get to the end of the stage. It's a tough climb, but not like crazy tough. Excuse me. Does not suit her well. And she's yo-yoing off the front group, and she's losing contact, and she was on with these 2 riders from Little Trek, and
she's in the jersey, but only by like 16 seconds over Castelline.
Yes. And so at one point she's with these 2 little Trek riders, and she doesn't even realize that she's gapped them at this on her way back. Like, she's pushing so hard. She thinks she's in this. She thinks she's leading these 2 girls out.
Right.
But she's not. They're dropped. She's still going.
They're back there. They're back there shitting their bib shorts.
Yeah.
Like, nah, you can go ahead and do this. We're not. No.
Yeah, not this hard. And seemingly she was at one point, she was like 30 seconds down. Like, she was out of it. Like, she's going to lose the GC 100%. She somehow claws her way back within like the last kilometer, maybe. I mean, it was really, really getting close to the end. And she finally gets on. She's not in really contention because I'm sure she's gassed by this point. Vladicek ends up taking the stage, but she does just enough to keep herself in the lead for the GC and ends up taking the GC win. And like, unbelievable, dude. Like, and finally my heart was breaking. I knew I'd get the points, but I was like, shit, man, I'm going to miss out on 25 points here. She's going to lose this GC. And not only does she ends up getting the GC, I end up getting the extra points to her taking the GC. I take the points jersey. So there's 50 right there that I need in a bad way.
It's a perfect segue. Let's go straight away into our fantasy roundup.
No problem.
Also, and real quick, Dominika Wladicek gets her first and second wins of her career at a
she's good, dude.
Pretty good race. Yeah, she had kind of a big coming out party last season, end of last season, and yeah, great thing. She's like a Paula Blasi in waiting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Yeah,
could
no, I'll
see
give
I
you
could
that.
see Vladic coming through and getting a big result in something. Yeah. So
All right.
jump into your
So
fantasy update.
I finally have a week where I score some points, dude.
Yeah,
So
you score some big points, I would think, right?
five. So here's what I ended up coming away with: 5 stage wins, 2 stage seconds, 1 stage third, and 2 leaders jerseys for
Wow.
90 points.
I had a goose egg.
And you had a flat 0, sir.
Wow, 90-0.
Yeah. So that brings the month total. You still have 43 points on the month. All right, but
I'm
it put
still
me
sitting.
up to 96 for the
I'm
month.
still 250 above you in
All
the
right.
total.
And then you got 777s, you got 777 still, and I'm finally up over the 500 mark at 512.
Yeah,
So
this Giro is going to really neutralize my gap. Well,
thank
it's all
God,
good.
dude, because the tour, it's just like, who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 really big men's races, because it could be all over the place.
That is for sure. Well, it's making things exciting, and I'm enjoying looking into it. Before we get to a news roundup, a couple more things on the Giro.
Sure.
First of all, the Orla Fit check. We are getting pretty regular Eurosport coverage, although sometimes it just comes in with the commentary, like at the commentary point. Sometimes they don't give us the.
So I figured this out. Okay. So here's the deal with that.
All right,
Enlighten
us.
If you catch it live, you will get the breakaway in the morning. If the breakaway is over and you start from the beginning, it starts you at the beginning of the coverage. Don't know why.
Bizarre.
Don't know why. And I don't know. Are you getting it in the replay?
No, I don't think so.
So some reason you got to catch it live. It's been appointment.
But on the weekends they give it to you on the replay.
Okay,
Like
I don't know.
sometimes you get the opening stuff and sometimes you don't.
And if you are watching live, and this goes for anybody. If you're watching this race live, that multi-camera view on Max is awesome. It gives you four different cameras, and unlike last year, it gives you information on the left and it gives you stage information on the bottom. So you're getting rider information, so you'll know who's in breakaways. You know, like they give you like who's still active in teams. So they got a scrolling bit of information on the left, and then they give you like how far they are in the stage and the profile of the stage at the bottom. Really,
Yeah,
really
I gotta chisel out some time to really give myself that experience with like both of my screens and get my notes going on the laptop, so I can just like do it. I just stuff going on, but
Of course.
so that said, Orla. Okay, so this week. To me, the overall theme of this week for Orla's outfits is like kind of samey. It's kind of same.
Except for Sunday, and for Monday, I feel like her outfits were, other than a slight color difference, were all exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, well, she was all red on Thursday, which we also needed something else we need to talk about. But of the bunch, my favorite by far was the Tuesday fit, the first one where she's like in the blue like gaucho shorts with like the kind of sleeveless white top. She looks like, she just looks like European chic. She looks like she could be an Italian woman, who just came out of her office to watch the Giro go by.
My favorite was Sunday. I loved that yellow, like, I don't even know what
the power suit. It's like a very pale yellow kind of power suit with the double breasted cut up top. Yeah, it's pretty good. That one's pretty good.
Love that color. And then
but like
Wednesday
Friday.
red,
Yeah, so Wednesday she's got like a jumpsuit kind of a thing. It looks like Friday she's got a jumpsuit. Saturday she's got a jumpsuit, blue and red, and then her all blue outfit on Wednesday almost looks like a jumpsuit because it's just like it's like jeans with like a jeans looking top.
Yeah, it's like Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, it's just like same. So I don't know. I overall so far I think last year was much better. But we'll see what she brings out. I don't know. So this is not doing a lot for me.
Well, how about the live spots from Sigma Sports on Thursday?
Do you have the backstory on that?
What do you mean?
What was up with what was that? Why were they sitting in a sporting goods store? What was going on there?
So I'm assuming it has something to do with Matt, because Matt Stevens is like hooked up with Sigma Sports. That's who does Sigma Sports sponsors his cafe rides. So my guess is that there's some sort of connection there, and
that was just very unusual. I
think they wanted to do a live, studio audience type thing.
Yeah, like a live remote,
whatever you want to call it.
Is what they did. So, also speaking of Matt Stevens, funny how not funny for him that he had that stress fracture or whatever in his foot. And now he's seated.
Yeah,
for the show. But they took the piss out of him, but in a nice way.
They did.
So we'll jump into a news roundup. Do you have some news items for us?
Not really. I have just my broom wagon. So what do you got?
Let me scroll down to mine. Just a couple for you. First off,
I know how to answer your question for your first one.
Well, what's the answer? The question is, why aren't we foregrounding Trobro Leon, the very cool race that takes place this time of year on the very, very far western tip of France on a little peninsula that juts out into the Atlantic Ocean?
Because it wasn't on Tiz and I couldn't watch it.
Well, the replay is on Tiz. So
it just got there because it wasn't there for like a week.
I too looked for it. I guess you're right. That is the answer to the question. Nonetheless,
because I would have covered it. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's not the case next year and we can watch it, and we got to make sure that we make time for this race because it's so good. It's got a little bit of everything. Gravel, there's cobbles, there's dirt tracks, farm roads, like you name it.
I remember we talked about it last year, but there was no coverage for it.
Yeah, it's dirty, it's muddy. This year, Visma Lisa Bike, another promising young star of Visma, Filippo Fiorelli, takes the win over Alexei Renard and Louis Askey. It's a great race. It's super exciting, like so fun to watch. And I did not have the time to devote to the replay that I would have liked this morning, but whilst doing some other prep, I put it on. I found it on Tiz. I put it on and muted it, and then I made it 2 times speed, and I let it play in the background.
Is it in English?
No, it's not in English. That's why you can.
That's
put
probably
it
why
on the background and mute it. But it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. I absolutely love it. The UCI is launching consultation with men's and women's pro pelotons, the teams and the rider organizations, to discuss the future of the organizational model for men's and women's professional road cycling. So basically, they've sort of sent a letter to all of the teams and to the professional organizations. For the men, it's the CPA and the Riders Union, and for the women, it's called the Cyclists Alliance. And they're basically
this is good. So this is going to be about like pay and budgets and shit like that, right?
Well, they want to know. It's like the UCI is saying, all right, what's your plan? Like, how are you going to keep this thing viable? Please respond. The women, the Cyclists Alliance have responded. Despite outward signs of progress, the sport remains built on fragile foundations. That was a quote that when they made their response, when the Cyclist Alliance made their response, they quoted a statement that Eliza Longo Borghini had put out, which said that, quote, despite outward signs of progress, the sport remains on a fragile foundation. She says she fears the world tour could implode at some point. They said that they need radical changes to the funding structure. They need revenue sharing, redistributing the women's world tour race days, such as rescheduling the Vuelta to follow the men's race in September. You know how the Vuelta, for whatever reason, just comes first. They talked about the poor coverage that the races get, that you and I rant about all the time, and that the UCI should mandate more. I was saying it should be like a 2-hour minimum, not a 1 hour like they have. Of course, safety came up and they said there should be a rider centered approach to GPS tracking. I'm not exactly sure what that means. They also called for the elimination of sharp turns inside the final 500 meters of races, just talking about this in the Giro, and a reform of the yellow card system.
Which basically is non-existent.
And then this might be burying the lead if we're talking about the financial viability of the thing. The letter included suggestions for improvements around the instability in the lower levels of the sport, which it identified as a major concern, pointing out the loss of races and higher budgets causing teams to fold, both of which are eroding development pathways for riders. They said, quote, "At a time when women's cycling has experienced increased visibility and momentum, the Cyclists Alliance emphasizes that long-term success depends on strengthening the sport's underlying structure." So just to continue with something that we've been concerned with.
Well, it's nice to know that they're looking at it, that they're taking a rider-centric approach to it and asking teams, you know, how they see it. You know what I mean? Because hopefully some good dialogue will happen and they can come up with some shit.
And some dialogue is always better than no dialogue.
Agreed.
So I would count it as a positive. A couple of last things for the on the subject of the Giro d'Italia. One of which is the video, which was very disturbing, of these young dudes that were like taunting the peloton as they rolled by.
Insane.
Absolutely insane. The first shot, I looked at the one that you put in the notes, but the first one I saw was like a helicopter shot where it's either a helicopter or a drone, and it was up above and it was like hovering, and like you were watching them over and over and over again. I mean, these dudes like pulled this little move. I mean,
they should have been
the
arrested.
He was like jumping out into the road and like making it look like he was going to jump in front of these riders or whatever to kind of startle them. And he literally did it like 6 times. Just like over and over.
Worst type of like bro culture bullshit that I've ever seen at a race.
So
like
bad.
That needs to go. Like, it's bad enough that when they go up these climbs that you know, and again, it's kind of the best part of it that people are like entirely too close and do not give enough respect. But this goes hand in hand that a few days later, did you see what happened to Giulio Ciccone?
No, I think you mentioned this. No, what happened to him?
So he he hit somebody. He hit a spectator because the guy was like in his shit.
Right.
He literally like
he Chris Froomed him.
Yeah, Chris Froomed him, exactly. And the guy deserved it. Like, dude, give them some fucking space. Like, you're gonna fuck it up for everybody.
It's bad.
Like, people just need to understand, like, you know, you're essentially getting an on the field pass for free. Okay, have a little fucking respect.
Alcohol, you know, like people are idiots. Let's move on. Really, really disturbing. I just wanted to call a little bit of attention to that.
You're totally right. It's unbelievable.
And no matter what, it's just going to keep happening. It really is. Like, as sad as it is to say, I have no hope that like we're not going to be seeing stuff like that for
legal action
forever and ever. But there should be. I mean, well, I think they got busted. Like they know
who they are.
There will be some kind of a consequence.
There needs to be follow through.
No, I think there will be. Anyways, last thing, it would have been nice had we thought of it to do a little bit of prep with just some numbers. But one thing we totally forgot to talk about is scrappy little Astana at the Giro, just coming through. I mean, they're sitting in, I believe, 4th place with Ciccone. Is Ciccone not in 4th place as it stands? 5th place.
I'm pretty sure something very close to that. But
yeah, he's at 5th place. They
still have more wins than all but 3 teams.
Incredible. They just go from strength to strength, this team. It's like each step along the way was a natural progression. It's like first step, we got Mark Cavendish, and come hell or high water, we're getting him that goddamn record.
From getting Cavendish's record.
They do it. They put the whole team towards that one goal. come what may, they get it. They're like, all right, box checked. Next goal, we got to get this UCI point situation under control. That's the mission. They spend an entire year just gobbling up points in every podunk third-rate race that they could go to get them. And not only that, but they combine that with a strategy of like, we don't care about first, second, or third. What we care about is fourth through ninth, and we're going to get as many of those as we can. And then now it's like this year, they figured out that, and they're still doing that, but now they're like, but we're going to go after some big prizes too.
Oh, yeah. And they capitalized. Dude, they took advantage of that situation, that horrible situation on stage, 6, and capitalized on it. Good for them. That's super smart racing, super great coaching. You can't say enough.
You got to hand it to them.
Absolutely.
All right. That will take us to the Broom Wagon. What, sir, pray tell, do you have for us this week?
So this week, we're going to do a little educational segment called The Best Young Riders Jersey, so that we now understand how this works, okay?
Oh, good.
So
good follow-up. I like your follow-up.
Last week, we did not understand how both 23-year-olds, Paula Blasi and Marion Bunel, how Blasi did not take the Young Riders jersey. Now I can explain to you how it is. So the jersey, so in the La Vuelta Femenina, the Tour de France Femme avec Swift, the jersey for the best young rider of the general classification at the end of each stage is determined. All right, the jersey is for the riders that are born after the 1st of January 2004. That is for this year. All right. So Paula Blasi, born 2/19/2003. All right. And Bunel, 10/7/2004. That's how. Her birthday falls before. Bunel got the Young Riders jersey.
So Bunel is younger and Blasi was just slightly older.
But it's based on
and she's
where
past
your
the cutoff.
birthday falls. Right.
Yeah, she's past the cutoff. Okay. All right.
So
that's good. So it's 23.
Giro,
it's 23 is the age
for the women. And for the Giro, the best young rider.
Wait, so does that mean you can be 22 and 200 and or 22 and 364 days? Okay.
Yeah.
No, you said it was January 1st. The cutoff is based on the calendar.
Correct.
So it's how old you are on January 1st.
Correct.
You're either 22 or you're 23.
Correct.
And if you're 23 on January 1st, you're out.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
All right. So the Giro is determined by the riders that are born on the 1st of January 2002. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, and that'll be
for
both
24,
25. And then for the men, the Tour de France and the Vuelta, riders must be under 26 years old on January 1st of the year of the race. All right.
26?
Yes.
Is the white jersey cut off?
25 and 365 days is the cutoff.
Right.
So
64.
Yeah, 364. So for the 2026 Tour, for instance, this applies to riders that were born on or after January 1st, 2001.
Interesting. All right, cool. Thank you for clearing that
now
up.
You know, and knowing is half the battle.
That is correct. I'm taking a little bit of liberty because I've been very time crunched lately. So I'm going to talk non-cycling, but somewhat sporting, and certainly tying into stuff that we have talked about many times on our other podcast. Shameless plug for Inglorious Brothers. Please download and subscribe to our other podcast, Inglorious Brothers. I am talking about The Dark Wizard on HBO Max and making a big, fat, huge recommendation. You haven't watched it, have you?
I have not. I definitely am interested in it.
On our other podcast, we did a massive deep dive into like the world of climbing movies and mountaineering movies. We tied this in with the Netflix, the recent Netflix live broadcast of like most famous and greatest climber of all time, Alex Honnold's ascent of the Taipei 101 tower, which was a very enjoyable episode. I think we both deeply loved getting into that whole world. Okay, well, the Dark Wizard is right there in that whole world, and we totally missed this. I don't know how it happened.
Did it not come out maybe just recently, at least for?
No, it did just recently come out, but how we missed this story is beyond me. I guess it's because nobody's made a movie about it yet or whatever. Maybe that's how we learn all of our stuff, because this story is as good as any of the climbing stories. It's as good as The Alpinist. It is just. It is so unbelievably fascinating about this guy. It's about this dude. I can't even think of his name off the top of my head. Dean Potter is his name. It's just. I can't recommend it enough. I don't want to spoil it. I'll say
is it enough that we could turn it into a segment? Do you think? Could we do a full show on it?
I would be delighted to do a spoiler-filled show.
Let's do one.
I haven't even finished it. It's a 4-part limited series. I watched the first two episodes on my flight back from Chicago. I had my business trip earlier in the week, and I just downloaded those onto my phone so I could watch them on the flight. And my God, I was so wrapped up in it. It was so freaking good. It's like a pretty standard documentary style for these kinds of documentaries, and we're experts on them at this point. Very straightforward in that, but they are executing it absolutely perfectly. All of the production is perfect, and then it's all in service of just an fascinating story. And the one other thing, a little nugget I'll put in there, as with every one of these movies, Alex Honnold is in the movie because he's just omnipresent in climbing. But the great thing about Alex Honnold in this movie is you see him in a whole new light. He is not the Alex Honnold that we have grown used to.
All right. I'm in.
Some of the statements.
I'm in. Don't spoil it. I'm in.
And I will say one other thing here. This won't spoil anything. There are some. You remember how I've made the comment about how in the year of 2019 or 2016 when Free Solo came out, that I watched a lot of horror movies that year, but Free Solo was the scariest movie I watched all year. Mm-hmm. There are some heart-stopping stuff in this film that will just have you as scared as you've ever been in your life.
I'm so ready.
One of them just goes on for so long. Anyways, it's so good. Yeah, we'll put that on a fast track for a future episode of our other podcast, Inglorious Brothers. So be on the lookout for that one. That's going to be all for this week. Please join us next week for full coverage of week 2 at the Giro d'Italia, the men's Dunkirk races, however they have those named and assembled this year, and the women's Vuelta a Burgos and the Antwerp Port Epic one-day race. Until then, for my brother Justin, I'm Matt Harper. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll join us again soon for another ride beyond the slipstream. Ale!
Beyond the Slipstream is a part of the Harperama family of podcasts. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe, smash that button, leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Ale!